Okay, this is my critique on my own artwork, the volumetric form with line. To start, it is a relatively simple project. I can see it is a sculpture made with wire, and it is a form defined purely out of line, and line working in a three-dimensional way as well. There are some wrapping forms that go around to define what could be a body area, and there are some lines to give simple shapes of detail to other areas, such as in what would be that face area. In order to reach certain effects of this, it looks like there are some wires coiled more tightly around each other. There are some areas where there's a lot more wire and more detail in general, such as in that face area or going down on like these paws and in the chest. It is also pretty visible that um, the balance is a little bit skewed heavily on that front end, but it is slightly helped by that tail and the thickening of the wire in the back. It seems that there is a great use of line, of course, but it is organized in a way to keep the structure visible as an object and not just something abstracted, which is likely what the artist intended. Of course, the material choice is wire, which keeps the structure pretty limited in what it can be, especially with limited amount of wire. There's a limited amount of detail that can be present. The mood of this piece seems almost like it is creating a ghost of the creature that it is meant to represent, of this cat. It is like an echo of what the animal actually is, of what it looks like, but it is still clearly meant to be an animal, and it is meant to represent something. I interpret the meaning to be showing a different way to structure something more solid and physical in our world. Because, of course, we know a cat is made up of a lot of different elements that can involve color and texture and space, form, and so on. And this takes a very limited approach to creating such an object, creature, whatever. It seems to me that this could be a very accessible piece because of the way that it represents something common to us in this world. So most people should be able to recognize what that is without much difficulty. I would argue that there is not a lot of symbolism here except for the fact that it may represent the artist's pet or some other pet. What I see happening is a connection of wire and of line, creating something that was previously just a tool or a an element to be worked on. It is building something out of nothing. I would assume the artist created this to be a representation of their animal because of the way that it has a bit of character in the facial expression. It's a little easier to see on this one. The way the head is tilted, the body shape is quite unique. It could represent a very specific animal, especially with the shorter tail. I connect with this piece because I have a love for animals, and seeing this is a different representation of something that I already love. And I really enjoy observing this piece and inspecting it and looking at how the artist worked to create the little details of the animal in a medium that is difficult to work with and difficult to show three-dimensional objects with. In my opinion, this is a fairly successful piece. It meets the parameters of the assignment that was laid out for the class, where we were to create a form out of line. There are wrapping lines around the body in the back area there and around the arms. The head is wrapped in several ways. I think it's easier to see on this image to give it dimension from multiple angles. The torso and upper body has a similar thing going on where there are a lot more wires and lines wrapping to make sure there is a lot of dimension from various angles. And the tail even incorporates some of that dimension. I think the piece itself is great at representing a creature, an animal, an object, while being made of wire and being limited in that way. Upon initially looking at this, it may seem very simple, like it's just a cat. But looking deeper, you can see the unique little details and carefully bent wires that make it slightly more interesting to look at from different angles, because each angle almost seems to show a different cat. I would say that this holds a lot of value to the artists themselves, maybe not so much to a viewer, because this seems to be a sentimental piece that is about something dear to the artist, and less about something that people and the world around them can connect with.